Welcome. You're listening to the best of investing on Talk 910. This is the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. And oh boy, we got some economics to talk about today. For those of you listening for the first time, here's our format. A few people sitting around a bar having drinks without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm pleased to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender, and Catherine Harris, CPA. She's a CPA of Parati and Karat. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Now, the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by a Lighthouse Resort and Marina, which is located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. Today's trivia theme is the number 100.
Ooh,
Our website is, you'll understand when we get to the questions. You like that number? Is that your favorite number?
I don't. It might be today.
Only if you add a few more zeros to my paycheck. Okay. Our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. We're also on television, Comcast Channel 26 and AT&T 99, Channel 99 on Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. Now, one of the things we wanted to get into right away was this government shutdown. And I know, Catherine, you're going to have a few comments on that. Let me just add this one thing in the beginning. I love this part here. I read this in the paper. It said, no work but extra pay. Some of the furloughed employees not only get back pay, but they also get some unemployment. Double dipping, baby.
Wonderful.
Right, that was in the paper this morning when I saw the double dipping one. I mean, it just made me really angry. And it must make a lot of Americans who, those remaining who don't work for the government, which is a ever-growing percentage of the workforce. But, so it was one thing to hear when the shutdown was over that, oh, well, we're going to, give everybody back pay for not showing up. But wait, a lot of those guys got or are about to receive unemployment benefits.
And here's the reason. It says the state law lets the workers keep the benefits because they did not perform any services for the back pay.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I thought I wanted to say possibly an asterisk because at one point they said once they do get paid, they would have to repay the unemployment.
Except that there was this, well, we're not sure if they were going to get paid, or that they were going to have to work for it, so better just pay them and don't worry about it.
So the taxpayer at the end of the day gets what he usually gets, which is
bupkis.
That's right.
No, actually,
worse
negative.
than worse than that.
The short end of the stick.
Right.
Okay.
So.
Catherine, you wanted to.
Well, I was going to talk about it.
Storm.
I was talking about. You would think the government. We always talk about the government creating the perfect storm. That every extension of the debt ceiling, it's going to be the perfect storm. But it seems like every time it happens, and every time there's an extension, a better or more perfect storm actually occurs. So the one that just occurred for 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks.
But I like George Clooney.
I can too.
Okay.
So what happened is they extended the government basically in the spending till January and February of 2014.
Yes.
So in this uncertain economy, during the most significant quarter of consumption with the holidays, they're going to put this huge uncertainty, put it into play.
How much of a surplus are we running at right now?
You guys can look at a lot of the positives, and things can be spun very different ways.
Okay.
But some people go into a lot of the details, but some people stop at the headlines. They see, oh my goodness, the debt ceiling's going to happen again. These people may be though they got back pay and unemployment pay, they may not get paid again come early January. So the holiday season is going to happen. I'm curious what's going to happen during the holiday season. Like, why would they throw such an uncertainty into everybody's mind during the last quarter of the year?
Well, and you're right about that because companies, big corporations, they hate uncertainty. I mean, these guys, corporations have to plan. They have to dial in their inventory. They have to make orders. They have to, figure out, how they're going to create the products they're going to sell. if they're looking, down the barrel of another government shutdown and how that might drive the economy down, that it just gives them nothing to work
Yeah,
with.
but the stock market hasn't responded that way. I
Well,
mean, it
that's
had a couple
because
of days.
there's more stock. That's more of a response because it's so uncertain. The federal government's not going to be changing interest rates. So I think that's what the stock market is adjusting to is more the
Rates will
emotions
remain-
over the interest rates.
Yeah,
not,
money will remain low,
Exactly.
by all guesses, for the foreseeable future.
But
Well, it's denial. We all love swimming in that river in Egypt.
I mean, we know the
Denial,
government
yes.
likes to push things back, and that we have very little foresight from our federal government. Or state government, but specifically today, federal government. They weren't going to look a year, 5 years down the line. But can you think 3 months ahead of time? We know how sensitive this stuff is, and to push it during such a critical time, and to talk about taxes and stuff. I mean, if this happens, and the same outcome of the October
Oh, it
deadline
is. It's gonna
happens
be
in
another
January and
stare-down.
February, that's the middle of tax season. People are trying to submit tax returns. What are they going to do to this? What impact is that going to have? So they create a more and more perfect storm. You would think that they've already created it, but no.
Well,
Every time.
Catherine, you sound pretty smart. You should be like a CPA or something.
Yeah. Someone told me that,
Okay.
so I follow their advice.
Good advice.
I love it though.
You love being a CPA?
I love it. I like numbers. Can you see? I get giddy over the number 100. I get very excited talking numbers.
Gosh, that maybe next time we'll have the trivial theme will be taxes.
Oh.
Ooh, she'll jump out of her seat.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
So, I agree with you, Catherine. I think that it's just absurd that they, kick the can. And now, first of all, government always kicks the can down. So they don't really respond to problems. They usually just buy time. But this is not even buying time. I mean, this is hardly even kicking the can. This is like stumbling over it. Okay, we'll revisit all of this in January. I don't see how we don't end up with another stare down. And, we know that President Obama has, begun to, during this lame duck term of his, dig in his heels because, he doesn't, have to worry about re-election now. And then you've got the Republicans who just don't seem phased about what this might do to their reputation. I don't quite get it. And, when I vote Republican, this stuff just perplexes me. It's just, I'm sure there are political nuances that I'm just not politically savvy enough to understand the benefits to either side, but it's crazy. It just drives me nuts.
It does, and that's where your knowledge and expertise or your information that you have about politics is just like anybody else in this country, and we just don't understand. And on both sides of the front, it just
well, and
what
certainly
are they doing to
our
the
politicians are
economy?
not businessmen either, and they're not trying to support a family on a budget. I mean, so
That's because they got paid.
yeah,
Well,
right.
don't you love that?
You know what? Now they're upset because if they didn't, they would have gotten the unemployment money too.
I don't see how they could have accepted that money. I mean, just from the standpoint of not being a lynch mob, after them. And on that happy note, we're going to cut to our first commercial break here, and the trivia theme is the number 100 because that's Catherine's favorite number. So I'm not sure why, but okay. What was the name of the Roman soldier who was in charge of a 100-man unit? The first three callers, remember Romans back in a couple thousand years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roman days.
When the Roman
Yes.
That's where, is that where it came from? Okay, the first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What was the name of the Roman soldier who was in charge of a 100-man unit? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because when the Best of Investing comes right back, we've got some emails where someone asked a question about tax planning, and we are in October, so that's getting pretty close to the end of time, or at least the end of the year. Okay, don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing will be right back.
I can never
End of
get your-
time.
I can-
You can't get my
very
questions
much
on
is-
this one?
You don't watch Battlestar Galactica? Because they had those were the shiny robots. They called them the.
Oh.
I won't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it. You know the answer too. I know.
You know.
How do you know the answer? It's like, how? What am I missing? I mean, is it?
I'm guessing.
You didn't read your Bible?
I'm guessing he's exactly. I'm guessing
Is it
that
in the Bible too?
Edward's going to say that
Oh,
he knows
Okay.
I
I
can
get
father
that.
will
read
be
the
upset
Bible.
though.
So.
Ooh.
Is he listening to the show?
No. He will.
Yeah, has he heard you yet?
My wife still hasn't listened. 3.5 years later, she still
Are you
hasn't listened to the show.
serious?
No, not once.
Same thing with my
Why?
wife. She says they hear our voices enough. They don't
That's
want to
right.
hear. Now, has your husband listened?
Yes.
Good for
He's
See,
actually, he has to force me because I'm like, I
So-
hear myself. I'm like, oh my god, turn this off. This
So on
is-
Monday morning, I had one of my fund investors come in to write another $100,000 check on top of his original investment, and he said to me, he goes, "I've seen you on TV and heard you on the radio." So he's one of those
Good.
guys that watch the show.
Oh, great.
I even
Channel
listened to it
26.
on the radio.
He's retired, so he does that kind of thing. I was gonna say he's got nothing better to do, but that is something better to do.
Yes.
Well,
When you
I-
get the option to choose what you want to do with your life in
That's
that
right.
moment, that
Well, I
day.
told you
You
what
wanna
happened
watch a little
when I was
TV
at
about-
the gym. I was at, this was months ago. I was at the gym, and some guy goes, yeah, he goes, saw you on TV yesterday, and I said, oh, really? He goes, all of us saw you on TV. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, well, someone decided at the gym, you know, where they have like generic
Yes.
TVs
Yes.
to watch. Someone turned on the channel for
Best of
the
investing. That's
the best of
Right.
investing.
Yeah.
You know,
funny.
That's
don't I
what
know
you
that
need.
guy? Doesn't he work out here sometimes?
Yeah.
Maybe we can slip a 5 to keep doing that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. So
Yes.
you need to get in.
Or just come right in. Okay, so Catherine, we'll get into your email, and then we'll get into Mark's email. All right.
It's a pretty short answer though, so I'm assuming we can go
Okay,
into.
well,
parts.
they're just.
You'll know it. You'll
just
kick
about-
yourself for not knowing it.
No, she's
Oh,
talking
I'm not
about
talking
the
about
show.
that. Oh, God, I won't.
Okay.
Yeah, about tax planning. You know, just the
Oh.
sort of tax planning ideas. You know.
So are we going to her first?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, everyone stop breathing. I like teasing Mark, especially when he winds his watch. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt, president of Pacific Private Money, one of the fastest growing private lenders in Northern California, and Catherine Harris, CPA of Parati and Karad. We always have to have someone who's intelligent on the show, so we like having Catherine because she's a CPA. All
I
right.
raised the bar.
You raised the bar.
Just a
Thank you
little
very
bit.
much.
Somebody
Yeah, exactly. Me, I kept doing the limbo going underneath it. Okay, the first commercial break, first trivia question. The theme was the number 100. What was the name of the Roman soldier who was in charge of a 100-man unit? Catherine,
No
put you on the
idea.
spot. And we just said how intelligent you were. I'm
You
just
know the
Okay.
teasing you. I'm
answer.
just teasing you.
Centurion.
Centurion.
Never have known.
Never known that.
Never
Okay.
have known.
That's okay. All right. Now, we do have an email for you that says, since we are nearing, this person writes in, so since we're nearing the end of 2013, when is the best time to meet with the CPA for any last-minute tax planning? Like last minute, like December 31st?
Yes, yes. Hopefully not December 31st, but October is a great month, especially if you have a CPA and things haven't changed substantially. October, early November, are great periods of time
I
to
guess
touch base.
that still gives you some time to.
Yes.
What are some of the typical things that people would be strongly considering doing on the tax planning front in the last quarter?
It really depends on what's your tax status. I have a client who has his own business, and he actually owns the property that the business rents. So it's determining how much income the entity should be providing him as rental income. So we want to make sure that there's enough profit at the end of the year.
Like prepaying
Prepay.
January's
Yes,
rent
or
something.
depending on how the net income's laying out, how you want to pay. If it's better to pay income to him through rental income, or rather having it as corporate income. If you're buying a house, I actually just met with somebody today for tax planning, and they're thinking about buying a house, and he's looking at your last year's tax return and looking at this year's and seeing what you can change. There's lots of limits out there. There's the new tax limit for $250,000 for a few new taxes, so you might want to look at increasing your 401k contributions or other type of contributions.
Charitable
Retirement,
contribution.
exactly. Those are the type of, especially when you're near you either change your job or a new position where income limits have changed, and obviously because of the new tax laws with the new tax rates, those would be things to look into and considering them.
So, Catherine, I got a question for you. I know that there's certain things you can do well into the next year with respect to retirement accounts that still affect your previous year's tax liability. So, for example, for 2013, there's certain things we can do before April of 2014 or April 15.
Like contributing to an IRA.
Right.
Exactly.
So are there things that you cannot do with respect to your IRAs after December 31st, or is it?
Well, that one specifically you're speaking about is the funding of the IRA or Roth IRA, depending on your income limits. That's the only one I think you have a profit sharing plan.
Mr. Cotter, Mr. Cotter. If you do like a pension or profit sharing plan, you have to at least set it up before December 31st if you haven't. You can always fund it later, but you have to set it up before the end of the year. A lot of people, they come, March, and they say, well, yeah, an IRA is okay, but I really wanted to, I want to set up a pension plan and fund it for the previous year, but you can't do that. You have to at least set it up before December 31st.
Yeah.
I know last year when I met with my tax planner in October, early November, he reminded me that you have to pay yourself a little bit more bonus income out of your S corp, because I have an S corp for my brokerage, because I wasn't paying myself wages high enough for Social Security. So there's little nuances like that if you're in business that you probably ought to meet with your tax planner before the end of the year, so at least you've got some options that will keep you out of hot water with the state of the IRS.
Yes, and you talked about like an S corp. That's where you want to decide if you want to do a profit sharing contribution. Those type of, if you are an individual who's got a business or an owner of a business, that is another item to consider.
Now, a lot of CPAs aren't as up to snuff with the law as they should be, but it sounds like you and your company, you've got a fairly decent-sized company.
Yes.
Yeah, how many homes are there?
There's about 10 CPAs on staff. There's about 15 of us during tax season.
Okay, I mean that's good, because
That's a good size. It's not too big where you get lost as a client, not too small where you wonder if they're really paying attention to your account.
No,
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, that's good.
We're a firm we have one office, and we actually have great relationships with all our clients, and generally not just have a relationship with one individual, but maybe two people on staff. So if somebody's on vacation, you've got a question, you've got somebody who has concern, there's someone there who can answer your question,
That's a good
who
point.
is actually familiar with your financial position and can assist in time of need if your partner's not there, who is your direct contact.
And do you guys ever travel to the client's office?
We do, depending on what we do. Usually for tax work, that's done in-house, but we also do other work. We do test work. We'll do audits and reviews and compilations if you have a requirement by a loan with the bank, or if you get money from the state or from the Fed, depending on various terms. You may require some type of a test services, and we do that services, and we do those usually at the clients.
Okay. How do people get a hold of you?
You can reach me at 415-461-8500. I'm with Prod and Crod. Our website is pc-cpas.com.
So PC doesn't stand for personal computer.
Okay.
It stands for Karate and Crod.
Thank God
Karate
you don't have to
and
figure out how to spell
Karate and Crod. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, PC dash. Okay, I like that. That's
People
very
go
easy.
with Prod and Karate. They start to make it rhyme.
Oh,
That's what it is.
yeah. Spelled a little differently, though. Okay, Mark, email for you, which kind of relates to what we first started talking about with the government shutdown. Person says, when the government shutdown happened, how did that affect your business?
Well, it didn't really, other than it was actually a slight little mini boost. And it didn't affect it negatively, it actually affected it positively. And why it did is we ended up seeing several applications during that 2-week period that looked like they should have been a bank loan, but they ended up getting derailed because the bank was unable to verify the tax return income on the applicant, because there's a certain form that when you go to a bank and you provide your tax returns, they make you sign this one piece of paper.
4506?
It's called a 4506T, and it's to obtain a tax transcript from the IRS. Well, I happen to know from experience, because I was trying to get one for a client which was unrelated to my business. It was actually for my mother. I was trying to get her a tax transcript. And during that shutdown period, the fax machine was off the hook at the IRS. So you fax these 4506Ts transcript requests to the government, and anyway, it didn't go through for the entire 2 weeks.
So did she drive to Ogden and knock on the door and it was closed?
So we had, so anyways, I had to wait for her, but wait for the shutdown to be able to get that for her. But also people whose loans were on hold. There was a couple of situations where the real estate transaction was going to expire, and the applicant, the loan applicant, was going to lose that opportunity. So we got actually two really good deals that we closed, by the way, very, very quickly for the applicant on what was to be a bank loan transaction to close a purchase where time was running out. And again, a lot of the reasons why people come to our company, Pacific Private Money, is because they are running out of time, and maybe they thought they were going to get a bank loan or an FHA loan, but the contract is expiring. And in this market, a lot of sellers, they're just not going to wait around. And if there's no guarantee as a buyer that you're going to get the seller to agree to a loan extension. And in fact, one of the two deals that we ended up doing as a result of the government shutdown was one where there was already a previous extension granted, and the seller of the property, basically made it clear that they were not going to grant another extension, and they had a backup offer for actually more money than this buyer was buying the house for. So we stepped in. Look, the buyer wasn't happy that he had to resort to hard money.
Well, especially since it had to do with the government. It was the government fault.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, so we came in and quote saved the day for the borrower, but the borrower was obviously more than a little aggravated that they even had to use it. But at least they didn't lose their deposit and lose the opportunity to purchase. So I'm not going to say that they were glad to that we to pay the rates that we had to charge them. And again, we're not charging because we want to charge high rates. It's just that's the access to capital that we have is at a certain price, and it's usually for a business or emergency purpose that people use it.
I don't know, Catherine. What do you think? The government shutdown, they do that in cahoots with Mark here just to get more business?
Yes, exactly. The real estate market's all incestuous with the federal government.
Okay, so
but I was going to say that's a great benefit for you over the next couple months is when if you don't want to have, especially as we go into 2014 and become even more guidelines and restrictions for acquiring debts, the private money option is becoming more and more. What's a good word for it?
it's the avenue.
Yes, a nice avenue.
Well, it is, and it's not to say that we're not under the same or similar regulations as the banks are. So there are some more mortgage rules coming down the pike. January 10 of 2014 is an infamous date because there's a number of more regulations that are going to go into effect on that date that are going to further restrict lending on consumer loans, but largely the loans that we do, which are mostly investment and business purpose loans, those are remaining untouched by these new consumer protection provisions. So certainly
We like to call them tentacles.
tentacles, yes. So yeah, it's going to be that much more difficult as a consumer to borrow money from the banks. You can thank Misters Frank and Dodd for passing that huge piece of legislation that has now resulted in multiple layers of regulations. But there's a, like I said, a slew of laws that are set out to protect.
It's okay. Halloween's right on the corner. You can call them Frank and Dodd.
Frank and Dodd, yes indeed.
Okay, we are going to cut to our second commercial break here. Before we do, we have another special trivia contest where the winner will receive a beautiful 2-night stay at the beautiful Hyatt Regency in San Francisco. So the Hyatt Regency San Francisco is the city's only luxury waterfront hotel featuring the Guinness Book of World Records largest atrium. You've been to the San Francisco Regency, haven't you?
Yes.
I
didn't know it was a world record.
It is pretty large. I wonder if people base jump from there or something. Have you ever been to the top with the restaurant?
Of course.
Around?
I was there
No,
before
I
they
haven't.
built the rest of the buildings when you actually used to have a really nice view. Before they finished out the Embarcadero Center.
That's
there was
right.
a beautiful.
You still get a view because the three. That's why maybe White has to turn 360 degrees. Kind of cool. You get in the restaurant and it very slowly turns. It's very, very neat. So the hotel is convenient to all San Francisco's greatest attractions, including the ferry building, the California Cable Car Line, Bay Bridge Lights, and the scenic waterfront. Check them out at sanfranciscoregency.hyatt.com. Here's the special trivia question. Before I read it, here are the rules. No previous winners. You must email edward@bestofinvesting.com the answer by midnight tonight, and we're going to randomly select from among the correct answers and announce the winner next week. Okay, here's the question. Almost 20% of us buy this but never use it. What? That's a tough one. Okay, so again, that question is for the special trivia contest for the Hyatt Regency. Okay, now we're going to cut to the second commercial break, and the trivia question for that break is, again, the theme is the number 100, all right?
Okay.
Which fictional character lived in the 100-acre wood? Now, you have kids, so you know this one. The first three, she's shaking her head no on this one, too.
She knows.
Okay, she knows this one. Okay, the first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Do you want to choose a lifeline on this one?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Stay at the Lighthouse. So the first three callers with the correct answer to this question are going to receive a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Which fictional character lived in the 100-acre wood? Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, email address, speak slowly, spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because the best of investing. We'll be right back.
You don't know? Yeah, you do.
I'm thinking it's either Bambi or what's that other guy?
Bambi.
No, it's,
Oh, the wonderful thing about
that's what it is. Oh my god, I'm thinking like the voice.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Is it or is it Tigger or does it have to be Winnie? Is it Winnie the Pooh?
Well,
I was like,
Winnie
wait,
the Pooh.
oh, is that what it was? I was
Winnie
like,
the
I can't because that's where I got confused. I'm like, wait, is he asking?
Christopher Robin.
It'll never work. I just know it. I'm
What's the answer to the other one? What was it? What's
Centurion.
No,
The
he
20
never tells the
No, I never tell the answer.
20% of people buy this and never use it.
So one time we had a situation where I asked the special trivia question, and Mark accidentally talked at the same time, so that when I announced about the Lighthouse, regular one, someone they'd call, answer the question correctly, and then when I let them know they won a free 3-day, 2-night. No, I won the Hornblower tickets. I said no, did you listen to? And I had to literally send them the segment so that they could hear how I repeated with the and that's why I repeat this very carefully.
Yeah.
I don't want to make that mistake.
Yep.
See, now we'll let you answer it because now you know the answer.
Once you said the second time, I shouldn't say I knew it. I thought it was that one, but I couldn't think of the name. I have a young child. I give myself until she turns 1 to basically have a clean slate of I can't, I know it, but I can't.
Well,
think of it.
honestly, I didn't know
It can't
anything about Winnie the Pooh until I was about 20. My parents all we had were rocks and sticks and
Yeah.
the sand. They used to just draw pictures, with
Pieces
a
of
guy
wood.
with an arrow.
Yeah, right. You're gonna play with the toys that Jesus played with.
Stop it.
Well, give them back. Jesus needs them.
That's stealing, right?
Yeah. there was a cute cartoon. The joke, the George Blackman one. It's at this Catholic school, and at the one end is a basket of apples, and there's a sign that says, "Please take only one. God is watching." And then at the other end is a plate of cookies, and the sign says, "Take all you want. God's watching the apples."
Oh, that's funny.
If it's okay, I'd like to, because he's got a couple of pretty
let's go.
wild deals out there.
Let's say what's happening at Pacific Power Money.
Yeah.
Let's hear about it.
So I do also have. This is the third, right? Not
This
the
is
fourth.
third- this is
Because I
third
do
segment.
also have some.
Okay.
A couple of.
All right.
We have the September reports came out for real estate. So.
Okay. Ready? Here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt and Catherine Harris. Wait to the radio. Okay. Wait to the camera. Okay. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question: which fictional character lived in the 100-acre wood? Catherine.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. That is correct. And what did Eeyore say? just know it. The wonderful thing about Tigers is I'm the only one. Okay. I'm sorry, we get so silly on this show, but we have a good time. That's what I keep telling myself. We have a good time.
Can't all be
Should, we
serious.
have to.
Yeah, especially with the
Life.
government shutdown and all that.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotta bring some sunshine to this world.
Well, you know what? Also, it helps you keep young and look young. I mean, I look pretty good for a man at 82.
You look wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Mark, you got to tell us, because I know you're working on some exciting things at Pacific Private Money. Share it with our audience, please.
Well, we have an event coming up that I want to let the audience know about. We are having what we're calling our fund launch event. Now, even though we've already launched the Pacific Private Money Fund earlier this year, Pacific Private Money Fund is a mortgage pool fund that pays 8% and higher, or higher, 8% or higher on your savings or IRA money to the shareholders who choose to invest in the Pacific Private Money Fund. We're going to have an event on Wednesday, November 6th at the Piatti Restaurant in Mill Valley, and it's at 6 p.m. So it's an evening event. It's going to be for about a couple hours.
So wait, is there food going to be there?
Yes, there's going to
There's gonna be food? Okay, I'm
there's
there.
gonna be food, wine, hors
say drinks.
d'oeuvres, beer. It'll be a great event. We've already actually got quite a few RSVPs, but there's always a little bit of attrition there. The room will fill, will accommodate 100 people, and so we're almost at that number. But again, we're inviting obviously newcomers in, because I know that there's a rule of thumb when 100 people say they're going to show up, and 30% probably won't, because stuff, life happens, right?
People
But
forget,
so keep
people get sick.
RSVPing. You can call our office at 415-883-2150. Again, 415-883-2150 to RSVP for the Pacific Private Money Fund launch event being held on Wednesday, November 6th at 6 p.m. at the Piatti Restaurant in Mill Valley. And what we're going to do is we've actually got a special guest there also from IRA Services will be there to talk about IRAs, self-directed IRAs is what I couldn't spit out there. If you do not have a self-directed IRA, you should strongly consider the benefits of having a self-directed IRA, maybe in addition to.
Will I be able to talk about that and kind of help if someone's interested in?
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
in fact,
here-
IRA Services is one of the more popular Bay Area IRA custodians for self-directed IRAs. Now, you can have a traditional or a Roth IRA as self-directed. It doesn't have, some people believe that a self-directed IRA has to be a Roth IRA, which is a specific type of IRA, but you can have both a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA.
Well, and the thing is, even if you already have a self-directed IRA with
Yeah.
another custodian, I suggest that you check out IRAservices.com, because their fees are so low.
Yeah.
A
And
lot
people
of
don't think
custodians-
about that. They don't
Yeah.
realize that kind of once they go in, the disclosures around those fees also have should be
Oh my
well
gosh.
improved.
Well,
so
well,
it's
there was
really much more.
There was one company we were dealing with before we had ever heard of IRA services, and they changed the rules. And they said, oh, by the way, from now on, we're going to start charging like 0.5% of the assets.
Oh wow.
And it's like, that changes the game quite a bit.
Right, it does. IRA Services charges transactional fees, not based on the assets under management. That's very important. And so, there really doesn't make a lot of sense if it's $100,000 or $1 million. No, why would you pay? Why would you want to pay more on the transaction? So,
Exactly.
so the reason to have a self-directed IRA really is because a lot of clients at Pacific Private Money who want to invest in either trust deeds or our new mortgage pool fund, if you want to use IRA money, it needs to be from a self-directed account. You cannot use money in a IRA with one of the brokerage houses like Merrill or Schwab or some of these others. The only investments you can buy or purchase in those types of IRAs are stocks, bonds, mutual funds, something that's publicly traded. Now, if you want to buy real estate or real estate secured mortgages and other products like that, those are what's called alternative investments, and they're great investments. They're great opportunities to really boost the yield that you earn on your savings or retirement monies, but you just can't use a brokerage account for it. You need to open up an account, a self-directed account with an IRA custodian.
Okay, well, I'm busting at the seams here, because earlier on our other show, Mortgage Investing 101,
Yeah.
which is heard on 10 a.m. on KNEW 960, Mark shared with us, with the audience, a loan that he was working on. Share that with us, the one in San Rafael.
Oh, okay. So We have a loan request from a repeat borrower client, and a lot of our clients at Pacific Private Money are contractors, remodelers, rehabbers. They're all real estate investors, and we love our repeat clients because these are guys that have demonstrated a track record and an ability to perform on for example, on a buy, fix, and flip, which is probably one of the most common real estate investments, certainly in the last several years. One of the most common or more common real estate investment activities have been buying distressed property, whether through foreclosure or short sale, doing a nice remodel of the property, and then reselling it for a profit. So we have a loan request for a property in San Rafael that actually it's currently vacant, and it's actually quite a mess in terms of, you walk through the house, it's like it's been remodeled many times, but not of a high quality, and there have been room additions, and so all of the square footage is illegal. All the square footage is legal. Almost said illegal. So it's roughly 2,000 square feet. They're getting this house for, and again, this is San Rafael, where homes in this neighborhood are selling anywhere from, the high nines to $1 million to $2 million, depending on the type of house. But anyway, we've looked at the budget, we've looked at the drawings, and they've got a great contractor all lined up to buy the property for $500,000. They're going to put about $250,000 into this property, and with holding costs and such, they're going to be probably between $800,000 and $850,000 in it. And they're looking, at least by their numbers, and they may be, pushing the envelope a little bit. They're hoping to get, and it's comping out at about 1.7 million. I'm probably more.
God.
I'm probably closer to 1.5, and but the way I look at it is, even if it's 1.3, there's so much opportunity in this project, and it's in a good area of San Rafael with where the market is such that it won't take long to sell this. A concern that we have on a major remodel like that is that there's enough profit potential. So if the market does dip next year, which some people seem to think it might, these guys aren't going to get stuck with a project that they've over remodeled.
Well,
And the profit margin, there's a good profit margin.
Yeah.
Right, we don't want someone to realize that they're not going to make any money and then leave the project unfinished. That's a risk.
Well, they're putting a lot of money in themselves.
Well, they are, and so the loan that we're doing for them is 70% of $500,000. They're coming in with a down payment of 30%, and then they've got a financial partner who's in there for about $250,000. So there's somebody else that's going to be, behind our loan.
It's almost like a second borrower.
It's like
right?
having it's like having an additional guarantor, so to speak. Even if they're not signing the loan documents, they're not going to let their investment be at risk.
Yeah.
So again, we really like loans where there's a financial partner who may even record his financial contribution as a second behind our first.
So
it gives us added protection and makes us sleep better at night. That loan is very unlikely to default because not only do we have the contractor / borrower, but we've got his financial partner who has an incentive to make sure our loan.
Okay, so
performs.
just to summarize this, you're going to be a $350,000 first on a property that eventually will be, after it's finished,
So low to mid,
1.5
millions,
or something.
yeah.
So you're roughly 25%, let's call it LTV.
That's an extreme example. Most of the examples we do when we make a 70% purchase price loan on a remodel and flip, it's more common for our exposure to be after the remodel right around 45 to 50% of the
Which is
market
still
value.
very conservative.
It's
Very
still fabulous, yeah.
And what are you earning what are you charging this?
This
gentleman?
particular lender, we're going to charge them because of
The borrower.
The borrower. This
Yeah.
particular borrower, because of the condition of the property, he's already agreed to an 11% note rate, and we haven't quite dialed in the points yet, but somewhere between 3 and 4.
See, he's not a loan shark; he's a barracuda.
There you go.
Okay,
But
now.
then also something
yeah,
you point out there is the points as well. So there's the return on investment of just not just the interest, but you also get some revenue up front as well.
Yeah, because he
Absolutely.
splits that with the fund. So this loan of $350,000 will be in his new fund. Will earn 11% interest and will split the points with Mark's company. So That's one of the reasons I got a big smile on my
Yes.
face, because I'm invested already in his fund. So I'm a very happy camper. Okay, Mark, remind people how to get a hold of you, because we're going to cut to another commercial break.
Oh, sure. Go to pacificprivatemoney.com. Of course, that's all one word, pacificprivatemoney.com. Or call our office anytime. Our machines are on weekends and in the evening, so you can leave a message and we'll get back to you. Our phone number is 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150.
I wonder on that loan if Mark in the back of his mind isn't going, gosh, I sure hope they don't pay me.
Yes.
make a small fortune for the fund. Okay, we are going to cut to our third and final commercial break, and I'm looking right at Catherine because, again, her favorite number is 100. Which letter is used to represent 100 in Roman numerals? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Mr. Kramer, do you know this one? He's got a smile on his face. He's a smart guy. Again, see, I did 6 years of high school. He did 7. That's why he's smarter. Okay, the first three callers with win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Check them out, please, because they're one of our sponsors. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Which letter is used to represent 100 in Roman numerals? You have to go back to your old... Do they even teach that anymore? They did when I was a kid. Of course, it was not history back then. It was like real live time. Okay, make sure I'm pretty
That's
old.
how we marked down the dates back then.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm so old that history was only a 15-minute class when I was in school. Okay, make sure to include your name, your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial, because the Best of Investing will be right back with Mark Hunt bringing us some economic news.
Leg stretch.
I should have asked if there was a limit going into your fund. I'll ask when
You
you
can't invest more than $10 million. I'm sorry, I just can't accept that.
I don't know why people won't take that money.
I'll take 9.
Yeah.
I met a guy at the Vegas event that I just attended of the California Mortgage Association. He's quarterly, and it's all hard money guys, even though we're called the California Mortgage
I was
Association.
gonna say.
CMA.
Well, that's a surprise.
So anyway, the CMA is all hard money, and I met a guy who
Is the national one too?
It's all. Well, yeah, there is
It's a
one.
national-
Apple,
there's a
American
national-
Association of Private Lenders,
Oh,
AAPL.
there's an NMA, right? There's the National Mortgage Association.
Yeah, but the National Mortgage Association is actually consumer loans, and the
Okay.
California Mortgage Association is hard money.
That's
Which is,
fine.
I know it's distracting. It's weird. Anyway, I went to CMA last week, and I met a guy that has a fund that's 4 years old, and he's got like $125 million in the fund, of which like over 25 million in the fund, in the operating account, was cash that he was just desperate to lend, and he had another 40 million sitting on the sidelines waiting to come in, and he was thinking he was going to give a bunch of that money back. He says he's somehow got his foot in the door through referrals with family offices, which is just amazing wealth, which I have yet to meet anybody that's actual real family office type wealth. But yeah, he's got guys, he's got investors in there for 20-30 million apiece.
My God.
I mean, that's
One guy, he said he
Well,
got.
that's
He got
hard because what you think
Yeah,
about
'cause-
flipping, you can't. You're
well,
the amount
he's
of
making
loans
commercial
that
loans
you-
between 1 million and 5 million.
Ooh, commercial
What-
loans.
Yeah.
what kind of rates? You have to go down to like
He's-
7%.
Well, no, he's not. He's doing hard money stuff. His fund is
Yeah, but
paying
he's-
like close to. He was in the high 9s. He was telling me.
Yeah, but not if he's got 40 million on the side.
Well, he won't be right this
Yeah.
quarter if you can't put that money. So he's calling me going, "What do you got? Send me anything."
Yeah.
I'll
What
fly
kind
up
of
and look at it.
commercial hard money would there be? I mean, there's commercial. This seems like its own.
I know
beast.
commercial is really strange, although that's where the opportunity lies in the next several years. Is if you can, be competitive on pricing for commercial private money as opposed to bank money, you can probably.
So we
stay
made our
pretty
money.
busy. Yeah.
Commercial? I guess I'm more because those ones usually more hold on to. You're not expecting to flip.
Yeah, they're normally not
But-
short
yeah,
term.
that's what I was
Although there are
thinking.
companies that
It's different.
specialize in commercial bridge money, where everything's
Yep.
a year. but then they're making their money available at 8 to 9%, so they're kind of in that like Lone Oak. Lone Oak is commercial bridge.
Oh, well, yeah. George Blackburn has one in Detroit, Southfield, Michigan. I mean, the thing is, it's Michigan.
It's
Yeah.
Michigan.
You know, but it's when you look just on the face, if you didn't know where it was, you go, it's not a bad deal. Okay. I'll come back and you can ask me your question.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, okay, great. Here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, president of Pacific Private Money, and Catherine Harris, CPA of Parati and Karad. When we cut to the third commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Which letter is used to represent the number 100 in Roman numerals?
No clue.
Is it this one?
L? No.
L? It's not the L is 50, right?
I think that is correct.
C.
Yes. C what? Oh,
That
C, the letter
The
C.
letter C.
That actually makes sense.
Yes. You
C
think
for
of-
centurion.
Well,
Yes.
yeah. Well, oh yeah, that's right. And then also, if you look at if you look at the movies, for some reason they never do it in numbers. They do it in Roman numerals.
Right at
and
the
you gotta
very
go-
end, right?
Yeah,
and
M,
scroll
C,
it,
C,
yeah.
C, and all that kind of stuff.
M being 1,000, right?
That's right. And Catherine, you were going to ask
I
Mark a question
did
about
have
his
a
fund.
question for you, Mark. I wanted to see if there was a minimum investment to contribute or be part of the fund.
The mortgage pool fund has a minimum investment of $50,000, and we are only able to take accredited investors at this time. And again, that's thanks to government regulation, but you need to be an accredited investor to invest in our mortgage pool fund. Accredited means you have either a net worth of $1 million, not including your primary residence, or you make $200,000 or more a year the last 2 years. That's how the government defines, and the Securities Exchange Commission currently defines accredited investors. So if you qualify for that and you've got at least $50,000 burning a hole in your pocket, doing nothing, earning you all of 0.25% at the bank.
Really? We're going to get a 0.25%? Tell me
If you want to put
more.
it to work earning 8% or more, you should investigate the options available to you through mortgage investing by contacting us at Pacific Private Money
And one of the
Attend the event.
or attend
to the event to learn
That's
a little
right.
bit more. Well, one of the nice things is also and Mark said a lot of nice things about this, but
Oh, thank you.
the minimum loan, the minimum term to be an investor is only 2 years. So it's not like once you invest, my money's locked up for 20 years. You can get your money out after 2 years,
Right,
which is
it's not-
really short
it's
term.
It is a short term.
It's not a long-term commitment, and it's not too short. I mean, we picked that number because that's kind of the number that I think is optimal for our ability to return a high yield for the shareholders in the funds. We generally make 12, 18, 24-month loans, and so we didn't want the fund to be like be treated like an ATM or like a money market account. That's not what the intention is. We're really looking for people not to park money for a short term, but to use that as an investment strategy to boost the yield in their retirement savings.
So you guys don't have an ATM right outside your office?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Although that's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. Okay, we have about 3 minutes to go, so go ahead.
So the September numbers came out for real estate, and there was a headline in the Chronicle. And again, I love the Chronicle, but they pick up articles from other news services. And this one said purchases of previously owned homes fell in September for the first time in 3 months, retreating from an almost 4-year high as rising prices and mortgage rates discouraged would-be buyers. So that headline would suggest that, rising prices and mortgage rates were the cause of the September drop-off in sales. But another article in Property Radar, which is, I think, written by people who are a little bit smarter and maybe more well-known than your average reporter when it comes to real estate activity, said September's double-digit drop in sales is not unusual for this time of year because sales volume typically declines in fall and winter. And in fact, if you look at September of 2013 and compare it to September of 2012, it's almost identical. So
That percentage drop.
the percentage, well, no,
Or-
it's the same. So there were about, in California, we had approximately 30,000 sales of homes in both September of 12 and September of 13. So there was a drop off over the summer, but it's consistent with what typically happens. So again, you just kind of have to take headlines with a grain of salt.
You
So
do.
it really does. And one thing that's again noteworthy, and we talked about this in prior shows, even though foreclosure activity is way down and new foreclosures are way down, and you hear about these drop-offs, and some would even believe that we're basically past the foreclosure activity. That's not necessarily true because, as it turns out, 30% of California homes are still at or near underwater, and so that's still you're talking about 2 million homes are underwater or barely above water, which effectively shuts them out of the California real estate market still. So there's still potentially, and then remember the term shadow inventory from a couple of years ago. This is technically different kind of shadow inventory. It's basically inventory of homeowners that are trapped and unable to sell because they're either too close to break even and don't have the ability to sell. They can't sell and pay a real estate broker. Or have any money left over to buy the next house. So they're basically effectively trapped in this market right now. So there's still a lot of potential, I think, in the coming years for real estate investors to find opportunities. I don't think the horses haven't all left the barn yet. So that's good news, I think, for real estate investors.
So again, remind people, Mark, how do people get a hold of you? Because I'm still focusing in on 8.9% of the fund. I didn't hear anything else you said over the one. No,
Your eyes, you got the smile on your face, this faraway look in your eye. So
I think
Mark,
he means point. No,
Yeah.
8 point.
8.9.
8.9%, yeah. So at my company is Pacific Private Money. We are private money mortgage bankers based in Marin County. We pay our investors 8% and more on real estate secured mortgages and trust deeds. Give us a call at 415-883-2150 or visit our website at pacificprivatemoney.com.
And Catherine, if someone wants a smart CPA, who do they call?
Catherine Harris.
There you go. What's your number?
415-461-8500. I'm with Pride and Crowd. We're here in Larkspur, and you can call and just talk to anybody who's got any questions about taxes.
Perfect. Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. These are baseball quotes. Apparently, Sandy Koufax's fastball was so fast, some batters used to swing as he was on his way to the mound. And Casey Stengel said, "I was such a dangerous hitter, I even got intentional walks in batting practice." Tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long. 3 seconds to spare.